Did you know? One of the fastest growing financial crimes infiltrating the United States relates to synthetic identity payments fraud. In fact, synthetic identity fraud is so prolific it reaches beyond the payment systems to healthcare systems, consumers, and government entities alike. Thus, the Federal Reserve is working with the payments industry and others to raise awareness of this increasing problem. What is synthetic identity fraud? Basically, it's when a criminal creates a new identity from the combination of real and fake information to facilitate crime. The fraudster typically will utilize personally identifiable information, PII, of those who are less likely to check their credit, such as the homeless, the elderly, or children, to create these identities. The fraudster uses the synthetic identities information to apply for credit, which causes the credit bureau to create a credit file, helping to validate that is a real identity. Once credit is approved for the new identity, in this case Amanda Pickpocket, the fraudster opens new accounts, makes fraudulent purchases, and so on to further legitimize the account and increase its creditworthiness. And it's working. Too well, actually. In fact, synthetic identity fraud cost U.S. lenders $6 billion in 2016, according to REMA Group, and it's the fastest growing type of financial crime in the U.S. What makes synthetic identity fraud so lucrative is that it's difficult to detect and often unreported. ID Analytics reports that 85 to 95% of applicants identified as potential synthetic identities are not flagged by traditional fraud detection methods. Because the identities appear to behave like a legitimate account, typical fraud detection software may miss them, which gives the fraudsters plenty of time to cultivate the fraudulent identity and build favorable credit histories, making them even more difficult to detect. And once the synthetic identity's credit is at a certain level where he or she has significant buying or borrowing power, the fraudster maxes out their lines of credit, obviously with zero intention of repayment. Let's look at a common example. Let's say that Amanda Pickpocket has a balance of $50,000 on a line of credit from previous purchases. The fraudster can make a payment of $50,000 on that line of credit using a different fake account or by writing a fake check so that the $50,000 is available for use again. Amanda Pickpocket charges an additional $50,000 for new goods, and by the time the payment is rejected due to a fake account or bounced check, the $50,000 is gone, giving the fraudster a $100,000 total payout. Fraudsters have also figured out how to maximize their payouts by capitalizing on payment processing times and the protections built into the financial systems to protect everyday consumers. They often use fake checks, pay with stolen or fake bank accounts, initiate chargebacks, file credit bureau disputes, and claim identity theft on the fictitious account. What can be done? In its Detecting Synthetic Identity Fraud in the U.S. Payment System white paper, the Federal Reserve calls out many common characteristics of synthetic identities that financial institutions should be aware of, including multiple identities with the same Social Security number, Social Security numbers issued after 2011, addresses near large international airports or shipping areas, multiple applicants with the same address or phone number, numerous authorized users on the same account, many accounts from the same IP address. The credit file depth is inconsistent with the client profile, and the use of secured credit lines to build credit. At minimum, financial institutions should take a comprehensive approach to improving fraud detection, importantly developing consistent definitions for synthetic identity fraud and educating staff, tracking multiple data sources and characteristics of the fraud, searching for commonalities and relationships between identities, and sharing trends with others. Outside of conducting thorough customer due diligence when new accounts are opened, financial institutions should not rely on just one tool or database to validate the identity of new potential account holders. Knowledge is also key in helping to address the growing problem of synthetic identity fraud. It is through industry collaboration and sharing with other institutions, law enforcement, and the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network that the payments industry can work together to mitigate synthetic identity fraud. You can keep up with common fraud schemes and mitigation tips by participating in our quarterly compliance and fraud review webinars. Additional information about synthetic identity fraud can also be found at fedpaymentsimprovement.org. For additional information or guidance, don't hesitate to reach out to our member support team at 800-500-0100, memserve@epcor.org, or epcor.org.